wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Yo, set your affirmations, aspirations, the aftermath of preparation. Good food, good mood, blood in circulation. One step at a time, yeah, that's how you make it. Set a goal you control and the steps you take them. I try to pick one thought, have some concentration. And if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day, call it replication. with the sun. Step 2, get some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you want to be. Step 4.
All right. The Ducati Dads has teamed up with the Remix Racing Project, a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to breaking down the stigma surrounding mental health and addiction, raising awareness and expanding access to life-saving resources. We'll be taking a cross-country road trip from the West Coast to Barber Motorsports Park in Birmingham, Alabama, and turning the entire journey into live story-driven content. As a sponsor, you'll get authentic exposure across cinematic videos, live streams, blog posts, and podcast interviews as audiences follow the trip in real time. Now, what's in it for you? As an individual, business, or organization, you'll get repeated brand mentions during live streams, integration into long-form video content, visibility at Race Week, and direct engagement with fans and racers along the way. Plus, this content will live on far beyond this event. Now, we're partnering with a small group of sponsors to cover $5,000 in travel and race expenses. If this sounds like a fit, I'd be happy to schedule a brief phone call or Zoom meeting to discuss. I look forward to any questions that you may have. You can email us at ridewithus@theducatidads.com, as well as a link to the GoFundMe will be in the description. Thank you, and until next time, we'll catch you on the next ride. You know that rush that you get when you twist the throttle on your bike? Well, that's the energy we live for. Enter Dubby! Dubby! Now, Dubby's a sugar-free, zero-calorie powder packed with focused boosting ingredients, no fillers, no artificial junk, just pure jitter-free power. Mix it up in your bottle before hitting the canyons or track, and boom, laser-sharp concentration for nailing those apexes, plus that smooth torque of mental clarity. Flavors like tiger's blood for that wild beast vibe, or Japanese yuzu for a fresh twist. Tastes epic, hits smooth, and keeps you hydrated without the sugar slump. Now, whether you're racing on the track or cruising with the crew, Dubby's got your back. Grab a tub for $39.99 or snag the starter sample to test the flavors and use code DUCKFAM at dubby.gg for 10% off your order. All right. Well, welcome to the channel. This is the Ducati Dads Live. And today's guest has got over 40 years of experience on a racetrack, has his own racer school, the Morrow Road Racing School. And so right now we're running a little bit ahead of schedule. So I'm waiting on Mark to go ahead and join. We've got a couple people watching. Go ahead and comment. Let me know where you're at. While I give you guys a little bit of a backstory, just in case you're not familiar with the channel. My name's Tim. My brother and I started up this channel a few years ago on our main YouTube channel, the Ducati Dads. And we noticed an area within the motorcycle industry where we needed more education. And so we'd figure that we'd fill that void with entertaining motorcycle content, where we'd trickle in some educational bits. And since then, this has turned into something that neither him or I ever thought that it would be. And it has been an amazing journey so far. We've met tons of people. Everybody's been welcoming. this year, Mike and I are going racing. And on our main channel, we're going to be building a bike, going to new racer school, volunteering with our local road racing organization, WIMRA, as well as attending track days. We've got friends within Moto America who we've talked about getting some one-on-one coaching, as well as we're looking to work with coaching organizations like Mark Morrow and others within the industry. Is the more information, more education that you can bring together, the better you'll be at retaining information. Obviously, racing, I'm not looking to go out and set records or win my first race, second race, fifth race. What I am looking to do is progress as a rider and be able to bring you, our audience, along for the ride. And so with that, we are really excited to have Mark on the channel today. Today, he is going to give us some background into him, his mission, what he does with his school, like what areas he focuses on, as well as we might be able to sneak in some footage from my last time at the track so that we can go through that. And I think that there'd be a lot of fun. It's going to be entertaining. Like I said, right now we are still waiting for, or we're not still, we're scheduled to start at 3, but we're waiting for Mark to go ahead and join the live. So go ahead and comment over here. Let me know where you're watching from. If you have any questions that you'd like me to ask Mike or ask Mark, that'd be great. If you know Mark, go ahead and comment over there. Let me know. I just met him yesterday, and I'm excited for this podcast. If you haven't seen our last podcast, we had Kaylee Yakoff on, and one prior to that, we had a new friend of mine. His name's Aiden Sandlin. He was a novice 600 champion, and part of our journey with this with this project of going racing is interviewing past champions within our WIMRA organization and OMRA, Oregon. Just in case you don't know, I'm in the Pacific Northwest. So Mark just joined us. We go ahead and bring him on in. All right. How are you doing, Mark?
Yeah, shut it off. Doing all right. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
You had a little technical difficulty, but I sorted it out right by 6 o'clock sharp or 3 o'clock sharp.
It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. How was your day so far?
You know, just another day in paradise.
Yeah.
Did my day job and had a pretty smooth day today. Back home. Now my weekend starts. I work Tuesday through Saturday, so I get to have Sunday and Monday off. So
yeah, that's the motorcycle industry's work week. But what do you do for your day job, if you don't mind me asking?
It's close. It's actually bicycle, not motorcycle, but I work in a bicycle shop.
Okay.
And I do everything. I'm a mechanic. I'm a salesperson. I'm the janitor. You know, it's a little small mom and pop shop. I've been there for almost a decade now. And we always used to joke that it was my semi-retired job.
It kind of has that retirement job vibe,
Yeah, and I've got a great relationship with the boss. He lets me write my own schedule, which allows me to pursue my favorite job, which is of course teaching the road racing school and racing myself. So it's kind of I've got 2 really awesome part-time jobs, one of them that's Tuesday through Saturday, the other one's on the weekends,
Well, like they said, if you enjoy what you do, you never work a day in your life.
That's true. That is very true. Absolutely.
So Mark, go ahead and you could give me a little bit of your backstory? How you got into two wheels, where you grew up.
Yeah, sure. So I was born and raised in Syracuse, New York. I lived there 24 years or so. First time I ever rode them, I started riding motorcycles when I was 6, 7, something like that. Um, are are you still here? I just lost you.
Yeah. No, I
Okay.
just
Okay.
you're telling your stories, so
Okay.
give
Okay.
me
Very
the
good. The
days.
screen changed. I was like, oh no.
Yep. No, you're all good. That's me.
Yeah. So yeah, I started riding motorcycles when I was a kid, young kid. My parents were not. My dad was not a racer. My parents were not into racing at all. And but dad bought a little Honda Trail 90. I think it was around the same year that I was born, because they were popping out kids and they needed two cars. And dad was like, oh, look, it says 90 cc's, 90 miles to the gallon. And that was, the 70s, the whole gas crisis thing was going on. So he got into motorcycles purely for an economic, because it was cheap transportation. And
Oh yeah, my grandfather did that. They had an old. It was like a. It was like a 3-wheeled motorcycle thing, and they had a wooden seat in the back, and that always caused my aunt ended up getting a splinter in her butt.
Yes, he taught me how to ride that thing before I could touch the ground on it. So he would be like the human kickstand, hold the bike up for me while I climbed up on the seat in front of him, and then he'd let me work the gas brakes and the gear shifter. I did all the riding myself. I think I was 5 or 6, riding a full-size adult motorcycle. But then when it came time to stop, he'd put his feet down. And that's all. That was his whole role. And at one point, he even graduated me onto he just hold it and then let me go ride. And I don't mean like around the field. I mean like we would go to a place with a bunch of trails, and he would like. He was a doctor. He was always studying medical journals and doing continuing education stuff. He'd hang out. I'd go ride that thing for like 30 minutes. And I'm like 7 or 8 or whatever, and like do like a 30-minute ride, just knowing that I can't crash, I can't stop, I just have to keep moving. Because I can't.
There's where you got your intro into endurance racing.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking back, I think that was a key thing that taught me, how like recognizing your limits, knowing that you cannot fail. Crashing is not an option. Like we had arranged, I was learning, I knew Morse code. He taught me Morse code at the time. So I was supposed to hammer out, SOS on the horn if I were to tip over, but I never had to hammer out SOS for him.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So that little Honda Trail 90, if you don't know what one is, really at first glance, you'll think it's a moped. I mean, it's got the little, Y frame, and you sit on top of the gas tank.
Honda Trail 90. Let's pull this up.
It's an iconic bike from the late 60s, but not high performance. You had an automatic clutch.
I'm gonna go
throw a picture up there.
I'm gonna put this up on the screen. This is cool.
Yeah, and I think Honda still makes them. Yeah, it's now grown out to be a 125, and you see them a lot on people's campers and everything because they are good. Like it's a good bike to have in case of the zombie apocalypse. It's It's not fast. It's not pretty. It's not glamorous, but it does have a high-low gear range, and like you could climb a mountain on one of those things if it's in the low range.
Right.
But I learned a lot on that bike, and I did. I had some friends that raced, and I was like, "Mom, Dad, Bob and Joe are all racing. How about it?" They're like, "Absolutely not when you're living in our house." That was always the story. Right. Whenever the R word came up, it was not in our house. When you're on your own, if you want to go racing, go right ahead, but not in our house, kind of thing.
Right. All right.
But I did. You find that picture?
Yeah, it's it looks like they just updated. So it's wanting me to
well, it's not important.
System settings. Yeah, Honda Trail 90. This thing looks pretty cool.
Yeah, they're I mean, not sexy, not fast, but and the suspension was horrible on it, but you could go anywhere.
Share. All right.
But I rode the snot out of that thing, and I grew up in Syracuse. Suburbia. But when I was 13, we moved outside of Syracuse and got a horse farm. We had 97 acres, and that bike became my exploration. Check the fence line. I was a teenager by then, and that was kind of like it became more of a farm tool, a way for me to get around. And of course, like most teenagers, I had some bad judgment and bad impulse control. I took it out on the road and had a little incident with the local law enforcement, and no more bike. That's a story for another day, but the wisdom of youth. But I got into dirt bikes after that, and got an MX 175, then a KX 250. But again, I wasn't racing; I was just trail riding. And because of the incident with riding that bike on the road, I wasn't allowed to get my license till I was 17. But when I did, I went and got my first street bike was a Suzuki GS 650, which is a pretty fast bike for a beginner back in the day. But
yeah, I just got done posting a video of me riding one of my friends from work. He's got a 2008 or 2007 GSXR 750. And I just posted a video on the main channel where him and I swapped. He got to ride my V4 Street Fighter, and I rode his 750. The bike's really surprising. I had a lot of fun on it. It was I compared it to a turbocharger with how the power comes in.
Yeah, they're pretty soft on the bottom, but once you spin it up a little bit, they start
a little bit closer to the 9,000 RPM range, 10,000. Then
very alive.
The boost kicks in, and you're like, oh, there it is. Yeah. I like living right here in this RPM.
Yeah, that's the inline 4 happy place.
Yeah,
yeah. But anyhow, I never really got into. The whole time I lived in New York, I did, move out of mom and dad's house, and I did enter a couple motocross races, and I quickly found out that a very humbling experience. I was a great trail rider, but I found out that there's a Trail 90, that's the one.
Yeah,
that looks kind of like Dad's too. I think his was a little redder.
Oh, this one's probably aged well.
I was gonna say that might be a red one that's just sun faded, or they may have made an orange also. I'm not like a Honda, vintage Honda expert on all their models. Yeah, but anyhow, I did try motocross a couple times, and I got my butt kicked with motocross. It was really humbling. The first race I went to, everybody left me, and then when I got lapped by the leaders, I was like, well, I'm just going to do what they do. Big mistake. I didn't finish that race. I went home with my tail between my legs and some Charlie horses and bruises and wind knocked out of me, and then did another race where I couldn't. It rained, and there was it was at a ski slope, so big mountain, and there was a big hill climb. That first lap I made it around. Second lap I barely made it. Third lap couldn't make it up that hill.
Were you just too gassed?
Traction, grip, and skill, lack of technique. Yeah. I just couldn't make it up. Well, also, I had the same tires I had on that bike for over a year. Like the luxury of putting on new rubber. I was very hand to mouth, paycheck to paycheck. I didn't have the funds for I'm just gonna put new tires on my bike. Well, if it's not raining in motocross, that's not a big deal. But if it's raining out there and the track gets muddy, upstate New York, a lot of clay in the soil, it's slick. So that one ended in humiliation. And then the best I ever did, it was the first time that they allowed amateurs to race at Unadilla. Like every year there's a big pro AMA motocross race at Unadilla. Yeah. But this year they were allowing the amateurs the week before the pro race. I'm like, yeah, I'd been going to Unadilla and spectating, the gravity cavity and all that stuff. So I was so psyched. I put a new tire on the bike just in case. I splurged to have a new rear tire on. And so many people showed up. They're like, yeah, we're going to have to go to, qualifying heats for this. There's 80 people here. So we're going to do two 40 bike qualifying heats, and the top 20 advance to the main. And I finished 21st.
Oh, wow. Just out.
That was my best. That was the pinnacle of my motocross career. And at that point, I was just like, yeah, this motocross thing. I realized everybody that was kicking my butt was 15 and I was 22. It's like, yeah, I'm just a little old to be getting into this.
They've been doing this since they were like 5.
Right. When I was up the trailer years on the 90, they were on their little KX80s and YZ80s, real motocross bikes. And but I was riding a lot on the street by that point, putting in the 10,000 miles a year, riding through most of the winter in upstate New York, which was pretty crazy.
Right.
So I was pretty good.
You're building up you're building up that understanding of where to find traction or how the bike reacts in different situations.
I turned my attention to road racing, and I didn't know anybody that road raced. I watched a little bit on TV, and it looked like something I'd really like to do, but I had no idea. There was no internet back then. There's no, and all you see is like you get the back of the cycle magazines. There'd be a little cutout like Penguin Racing School, and I'd call and I just get the answering machine. I'd leave my name. They never call me back. I'm like, man, this sucks. I finally signed up for a Keith Code Superbike school at Watkins Glen. And this was pretty cool because they provided the bike. So I didn't even have to do anything with my bike. And I think it was either 92 or 93 when I did that. And that was like, ding. And not that it was racing. It was just a track day with a lot of with instruction. But they did keep lap times on everybody. And I was the second fastest. I was the second fastest student of the day. I was watching those lap times. I'm like, oh, yeah, So then I was really
a little competitor in you.
Get road racing, but I had this naive idea that the only way to go road racing was to go pro. And so, I was like, well, I got to get at least a 750. I got to start. So I was like, and I was a Kawasaki fan at the time. So I was like, you got to have a brand new ZX7. And I'm just looking at all these thousands of dollars. And I had a decent job. I was making a little bit of spare change, but not that kind of spare change. So I was kind of like, well, this dream's probably going to have to be put on hold for a few years. And right around that time when I'd made the decision, like, okay, if it's something I really want to do, but it's going to take me a while to get to a launching point, I almost on an impulse decided to move to North Carolina. It was really just a whim. I was kind of tired of the upstate New York weather. You're Pacific Northwest. You're Washington.
Yeah. Yep.
Interesting little tidbit. Not far from you, Portland is number 1 in the country for overcast days and suicide. Guess what city's number 2?
North Carolina.
Syracuse.
Yeah.
I was like, this sucks. I want to get out of here. And a friend of mine that lived in North Carolina called me up one day, and I had just quit a job I've been working for 6 years and broke up with a girl I've been dating for 5 years. And my friend calls me and was like, you got to come down here. It's beautiful. It's sunny all the time. And my roommate just moved out. All you got to do is move in and start paying half the bills. I was like,
just fill the spot.
My birthday is next week. People are throwing me a big party. I'll be here the day after my birthday. Down. Here I am in North Carolina. And literally like a week into moving to North Carolina, I ran into a guy who was a club racer. And I'm like, club racing? What's that? He's like, because I was like, is that like, blah, blah, blah. He's like, oh, no. That's what the people with money do. We're poor. We just go to the track. And I'm like, well, what kind of bikes? Because I don't even have a bike that could be raced on. He goes, isn't that an RZ 350 in the parking lot? Is that yours? I'm like, yeah. He goes, those are awesome race bikes. It's a 2-stroke, man. Oh. He's like, just safety wire. Just put some safety wire on there and put a number plate on and take a school and show up. And so all of a sudden I had a support group of people that knew what they were doing. Mm-hmm. And they were cheap. These were cheap, broke bastard. These are all people that are just like, they got the drug, they got the addiction, they want to race, but they don't have the money to, blah, blah, blah. And so they kind of took me under their wing, and we had a box. The one guy had a box van, the other guy had it easy up, the other guy had this, and we all would combine resources. And I took Ed Bargey's school to get my race license at the end of 94, December 94, went down to Talladega, took my school there, got my license. And then the first race of the WERA season in 95 was just in February, just 2 months later at that same track. And my first race weekend, 0 points, nothing. I'm nobody. I'm wearing a pink t-shirt on over my leathers to let everybody know I'm a newbie. I entered 4 different races that day. I lined up at the back of the grid. And you have like your class, your bump up class. And, I just signed up for anything my bike was legal for. And as luck would have it, the most competitive class was actually my first race of the day. Sure would have been nice to have one of the hard ones first that I have no chance of winning, so that I could practice and build up skill before I get to the one that where my bike was competitive. But my first race of the day was my best class. So I just lined up in dead last. The green flag flew, and I just started passing people, passing another bike here and passing another bike there. And about halfway through the race, I noticed that the bikes I was passing had white plates instead of yellow plates. So I was like, ooh, those are experts. That's interesting. But all the novices just all, a bunch of people left me off the line. I mean, I was, so it didn't dawn on me that I was actually doing well. And it wasn't until I came back to the pits, all my friends are jumping up and down and yelling and screaming. I'm like, oh, what happened? Did Billy do good in his race? They're like, no, you moron. You did. You finished second. I'm like, second in my class. They're like, second in class and third overall. The only people that beat you were the novice winner and the expert winner. I'm like, oh.
That's pretty good.
So it was like, bing, I am a racer, just not a dirt bike racer. You got to find your medium. You got to find the place. We all have our special talents, and you just got to find the place where your voice can be heard and sing and all that stuff. And
exactly.
And that was it. I was hooked. It's here we are. It's 31 years later. I've never missed a season, so I am the perennial club racer. I have raced in a few pro races before, but when I was young enough to really chase the pro dream, I didn't have the money. And now I could probably afford to go pro racing if I wanted to. But at 57, it's probably, probably not a smart idea.
Okay. Hold on 1 second. I was getting some other stuff set up for us and sharing the stream. If you're watching, go ahead and share it. That way we can get this out to more people. And we've had a few comments in here so far.
How do I do? I'm not familiar with the format. So if you extensions, share the stream. No. Stream this to your audience. Stream this to your audience. Click.
Yeah, you can do that, or you can go ahead, and I think there is a share button on your side, but you could click that, and then you could link your YouTube channel or your Facebook, and you could be able to share it that way. But
where's the share button?
I'm looking for it. My side has got a little different. So I usually just hop over to my Facebook on either my phone or on one of my screens, and I'll find the stream, and then I'll go ahead and share it there. But we've got Lennon Jr. He said, what's up, Coach Morrow?
John. Yeah, I know John.
And then Ellen.
That's my wife.
Yeah. When you were talking about riding, she said, and the disease took hold.
Go ahead and shift. That's my wife.
Yeah. There we go.
Oh, the disease took hold. Yes, she knows about the disease.
Yeah. Oh, she's been there with you, and then you should be able to see on our stream here when I pin the comment.
Yeah.
Right
yeah, I can see the comments now on my phone, so I'll just keep my eyes.
Yep. Reese Bain says, "Hey Mark, this is Reese. I have to leave the podcast, but I'll watch it later. Can't wait to catch up with you at the track."
Awesome. Yeah, Reese and my path will definitely be crossing a few times this year. He's a Southeast based racer, took school last year, and John took the school 2 years ago. It's really fun. I've got a school coming up in about a month and a half, and I was just messaging with one of the students that signed up for it, and he was like, "Man, I can't believe it." Like, I was talking with somebody, I was buying another bike, and I mentioned your school, and the guy's like, "Oh yeah, I got my license from Mark." And then I was getting graphics set up for my bike with number plates, and the person at the graphics shop said, "Oh yeah, I took Mark's school a couple of years ago. Got it, He's like, you really get around, but the reality is this is only my 7th year of running a school.
Oh, really?
So I say only 7 years is a long,
that is a significant amount of time.
It's not short, but also it's 7 years of teaching a school, but it's my 4th year with it being my school. My first 3 years I ran this, and we're kind of skipping a step. I should talk really, I'm going to back up before I even talk about that. So started racing in 95, all club racing, hardcore, I was always chasing after championships, got the disease bad, chasing the points, looking at the schedule, go to this round, go to that round. And my mom was a piano teacher, and I went to school for music ed. I've always been a person that likes to help other people learn. Yeah. And it happened with the racing long before I got into school. I would, like when you're out there on the track and somebody does something really stupid in front of you, your first instinct is that asshole. And you want to, go yell at them.
You want to go up and point at them.
But I would follow them back to their pits, and I would say, "Hey, just want to let you know what you did out there was really dangerous, and you could have put both of us in the hospital. Next time you have that situation, what you might want to consider is trying this instead." And I would give solutions. Now, to be fair, inside my helmet before that happened, I was doing a little personal therapy. You son of a sea biscuit. But then I would calm down. I would say, "Well, this is a learning and teaching moment. He obviously doesn't know what he's doing, And my mentor, Ed Bargy, that's who I got my license through, took notice of this, and so I think it was 2002 that he invited me to be one of the coaches for his school. And I know that I recognize that a lot of your followers are out on the West Coast, and we're over here on the East Coast, but Ed Bargy is a lot like that No Lean Gene gentleman that just passed away a couple months ago.
He's an icon over here.
Yeah, Ed started teaching road racing schools the same year I was born, 1968. And he's still teaching. He has 2 schools on his calendar this year. I think he's 81. Just
I hope that I have that drive.
He still gets out and rides too. He doesn't go out and ride every single session, but he still puts his leathers and his helmets on, and he does all the morning sessions. And then usually in the afternoon, he's like, "All right, you guys got him. You guys got him for the rest of the day."
You young whippersnappers, I had my fun.
But this sport makes you young, and it doesn't matter your age chronologically. When you put your leathers and your helmet on and you fire up the bike, it's just like, I still feel like I'm 25 when I'm out there. That's how old I was when I started racing. And I'm 57, but I feel like I'm 25.
When you're able to still apply the knowledge and the fundamentals, you can go out there and for 5 laps, maybe 6, be able to run the young kids around and then go and chill and be like, all right. That's how it's done.
So back to the history thing. So I started coaching for Ed, and this is where I really started learning a lot. One of the bonuses when you're a coach for a school is you're welcome anytime you want to just sit in on the classroom. And lots of time when a lot of people will coach for school like, oh, free track time. And of course I was taking advantage of any free track time I could get. But I recognized that Ed had a lot to teach. And so I was spending a lot of time in his classrooms. Officially, I took Ed's school twice, but unofficially, I've probably sat through Ed's entire curriculum. If you take all the little bits and pieces that I've, probably 10 times, at least over the years. So I was picking up a lot of his knowledge and wisdom. And in 2019, I was racing a lot with Arma and a lot with Wira. And Arma.
Hey there, Chris.
Arma has the best. Oh, there's Simcoe. Hey, what's up?
Yeah, Simcoe.
But I was kind of double dipping because Wira had kind of a better modern bike program, and Arma had a better vintage bike program, and I still had some vintage bikes, but I also had a modern bike, so I was kind of racing with both of them. But then the word got out that the instructor for their school was retiring that year, and so I was like, in my mind, I had always thought, teaching a school is going to be my exit strategy. I know I'm never going to want to quit racing. I'm going to want to do this until they force me to quit. But, what Ed does, that seems really cool. Like that'd be a nice halfway step to start teaching. But in my mind, I thought that would be like in my 60s,
Yeah.
And here I was like, I think I was 50. I was 50. I just turned 50 when that happened. So I thought, well, I don't think I'm really ready for this, but I'll throw my hat in the ring. I probably won't get this one, but at least it gets my name out there. And then the next time there's an opening, maybe that'll happen, that kind of thing. I really didn't think I was going to get the job, but I did. And they were like, oh, and by the way, the former instructor doesn't want anyone using his curriculum. So you got to create your own curriculum and do all this. I had to basically create it from scratch. And by the way, you have 6 weeks. So I got busy. I knocked it out, came up with my own curriculum, and started running their school in 2020, which surprise COVID. So that was the year we half of the races on the schedule got canceled for various reasons. Shelter in place,
socially distanced, right? We're in helmets. We're breathing.
We're in helmets. Exactly. I remember like riders meeting. Everyone's like 6 feet, 6 feet. But it actually was a very successful year for me. It was really good. I learned a lot and I taught a lot and I had great feedback. And I really humbled myself with my students. I was like, look, there's a questionnaire at the end of your test. Don't brown nose me. I want to hear it. Tell me what you hated about, tell me what you would do differently next time. And I read every single one. And anytime there was a way to implement it, I did implement it. And every year my curriculum changed. I modified it, and also my procedures. And, so I had those 3 years of doing the school with Arma, which were really there was some really good things and some really bad things. Arma is a national organization, and so their schedule takes you all over the U.S. And part of my contract was with them was that I had to teach a school at every single track. So Laguna Seca and Willow Springs are really far from Raleigh. It's really expensive. Yeah, but you're getting paid to teach the school. I'm not getting paid that kind of money,
Yeah.
And it also, aside from the money, it was also like going to every single Arma round meant that I didn't have any time to go see any of my Wira family too. So it was a painful decision, but in 2023, I didn't leave Arma, but I started my own school. No longer taught the Arma schools, started the Mark Morrow Road Racing School. And so that's where we are now. So this is my fourth year of running my own school. I've done it both. Like I've got a great relationship with the track at Roebling Road down in Savannah, Georgia, and so
Okay.
most of my schools are at that track because they work with me and they give me some flexibility so that I can do some things. But I've partnered along the way the first 3 years with some various track day organizations and done some schools with them too. And I'm always open for branching out and doing schools with other people. And one time I did a freelance. I flew out and did a school for BTR, the
Oh yeah.
Bagger or BRL, Bagger Racing League. They flew me out to
Those guys
Salt
are.
Lake City, out to
It
Utah,
is
and
super impressive what those baggers can do. I
yeah,
mean,
and they gave me a 125 cubic inch, 150 horsepower Harley to ride around on because I was like, well, I
let's
can't teach.
go.
I'm gonna fly to this thing. I'm not, you got to give me a bike, and I thought they're just gonna give me some, EX 500, some cheap bike, and this is beautiful Alloy Arts, great team. They gave me this beautiful bike to ride, and even I was allowed to stick around and race it in the amateur class also, which was a lot of fun. Sadly, there was a
Oh
problem with the
boy.
race. I ended up DNFing out of the race, which sucked. It was a little dark cloud on the weekend, but the team was great. The bike was great. It just had one little minor mechanical issue. But so I'm always open for things like that. I can teach a school anywhere. I can carry all my curriculum. I got my computer bag, and it's like got tests here, books there, flags and stuff. Have books will travel.
Oh
But Roebling Road is pretty much the home base for the school,
yeah.
and ironically, it's a 5-hour drive for me to get to my home base track. VIR
Nice
is an
little
hour and a
road
half
trip.
on the road. VIR is much closer to me at home, but they're not as friendly as Roebling is with their pricing, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, they're a national track, and
yeah,
like
fancy
it's like
track.
trying to rent out Daytona
Yeah,
for for a private event.
Yeah, and
Pretty
again
soon it's
that
going
goes
to be
back
like
to the
that with Coda too.
that goes back to like the advantages and disadvantages of when I was doing the school for Arma or anyone else. When you do schools for
Yeah.
other people, you get the advantage of piggybacking in with their buying power, but also you're very much restricted to doing things their way. And when I do my school myself, I have to keep it focused on budget tracks that I can afford to rent, but I get to call the shots and do whatever I want.
Yeah.
And this year's, I mean, we haven't had a school yet. It's only just turned February, but I already have more people signed up for my first two schools of the year than I graduated all last year combined. So it's looking to be a banner year this year. Really excited for the
That
response and
is
the
freaking
turnout and everything.
cool. That
Yeah,
is
I
really,
had,
really cool.
I had three schools last year, and all three of them were very, I wouldn't say very, one was very lightly attended. The other two were on the light side. But I think we had 17 total for the whole year last year. And I've got 15 my first one and eight for my May school. The school in May already has 8 students.
That
I cap
is
them at 20. I will.
yeah.
I've gone above 20 before, and it's not that it's dangerous. Nothing bad ever happened when I did 26 once, but I don't have the connection with the students.
It's kind of what I was gonna ask. If it was more, you want every student to get as much as they can. Like they need
Yeah.
your one-on-one, attention.
I like this personal one-on-one. I like to be able to, that everybody in the class is not intimidated, that they feel like they can just raise their hand and ask any kind of there's no such thing as stupid questions. And honestly, even at 20, it's a little hectic, but I got to make a living here. So
Yeah.
So we go up to 20.
You got to balance it out between being able to cover the costs for track, your expenses,
Yeah.
everything, and
Insurance.
getting their value. Oh yeah, insurance. I
Every
would love
single
to
year
ask,
I've done
but
since I
pretty sure
started in
that's an
23.
off-stream question.
And all I can say is every single year since I've started, my insurance costs have increased. and not through anything that I've done. It just the insurance companies, they see that they can take advantage and they can ask for more. Well, not ask, they demand more.
Yeah.
And
it's a requirement.
I have nothing I can say to change it. So it is what it is, but we're just really excited about this year. It's looking really,
exactly.
I love being able to say, sorry, this one's sold out. Get in early for the next one before it sells out too. Before I worked at the bike shop with my retirement job, I was in sales. I sold wine. I was a wine rep. So I'm very, very familiar with the process. Yeah. So I'm excited that we're having classes that we're talking about selling out. Whereas last year I was having classes that I was worried about even breaking even or, I had one where I went red, still have the class, sometimes you just got to pay. Sometimes, I was joking. I called it our rebuilding year. Yeah. Like to say in sports.
Sometimes you got to pay to play. Well, most of the time you got to pay to play, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So last night when we were talking on the phone, and maybe you touched on it while we've been here on the stream, when you were amateur racing, you said that you had right around 60 championships. What obviously skill didn't get you there enough, right? But what would you think is the main contributor to being able to win that many championships? That's a lot.
Well,
that's a lot of races.
Tactical. It's a lot of racing, and I will there are some years where I became the national champion because I was the fastest guy out there. There's also years that I became the national champion because I went to more races than everybody else. There's years that I won the championship. One year I won a championship with Arma. Well, there's one year I won 4 championships in the same year, with 3 with Arma and 1 with Wira. And one of the championships I won with Arma, the guy that was kicking my butt all year long hit a hailstorm on his way to the track. It damaged his trailer and he had to turn around and couldn't make it to a race. He was going to win that. I mean, I had already shook his hand.
That had to have been bittersweet.
I was like, dude, you got this. I've tried everything I could. I'm not worthy. You're the dude. Congratulations. And then he couldn't make it to that race because he hit a hailstorm and his trailer, it was messed. I mean, you get your car in a hailstorm, you see a little dents in the roof.
Yeah.
His trailer was like, cluster munitions went off over it or something. I mean, it was destroyed. So sometimes you just get lucky, Yeah. But the true answer to winning championships is I'm a very tactical person. My championship run usually starts on the way home from the national finals the year before. I'm driving home from this year, in 2025, driving home from Barber at the GNF. I was already thinking about what am I going to go for next year, and I'm thinking about as soon as they release the schedule, I'm going to look at my work schedule, the travel schedule, the checking account, what can I afford to do?
You just reminded me. Yeah.
You have to figure out a plan. Like you have to put yourself in a position to be able to win. So sometimes that means driving to godforsaken places that, I've driven to Kansas before to race. All the West Coast stuff, I paid somebody to take my stuff out, which is a different kind of pain.
Yeah.
You're about to take a nice short trip, but just in a couple of months, aren't you going to Barber? You're going to do the bike transport to Barber thing.
Yeah. So that's actually what I was just about ready to talk about is, we're going to Barber. Hopefully I see you there. It sounds like
I'm going to be racing at Barber. I'm going to be racing at Barber 2 or 3 times this year with Wira. I don't think. Racing. Oh yeah, I'm still racing. I won 2 championships last year. I'm 57.
I'm sorry. I didn't know. Well, wait.
Oh, you thought I was done? No. I'm not done, man.
That's right. You said you're doing the vintage racing, right? Or are you also doing another class?
So here's the deal. When I stopped teaching with Arma in 22, I pretty much stopped racing vintage, and switch gears to racing modern bikes. So I still have the RD 400, and I've got a really sick little Aprilia RS250 that has a hot shot RZ 350 motor in it. So those are my two vintage bikes, but I've got a 2018 Ninja 400 and a 2005 ZX 636 that I raced with the modern stuff. So 2 years ago, I basically switched from being a vintage racer to being a modern racer. And the one thing with vintage racing, a lot of people don't understand, the vintage racing is not like easy. You get a lot of people like me in vintage racing. They're older and they might be a little bigger around the middle than they were in their 20s, but they're wise and they have a lot of experience, and they know they don't fall for the stupid simple stuff. They're very good thinkers, and they're very hard chargers. At the pointy end of the vintage grid, you'll find people that, like I used to race a lot against a guy named David Roper, who he's something. He's in his late 60s, early 70s. He's the only North American to win the Isle of Man.
Oh, wait.
David
so I
Roper's.
Just got done reading. I read Michael Dunlop's book.
Oh yeah.
And
those guys know about that. Family knows about winning the Isle of Man, but you
know every aspect of racing the Isle of Man.
I've raced against a lot of former AMA pros with ARMA, so the vintage racing definitely has a lot of competition, but there tends to be 2 or 3 really fast people, and then you very quickly go from the really ultra fast, crazy legends that are just, they can't stop this sport. They're like me. They just got to keep on doing it. To the enthusiast hobbyists. So you have a wide disparity. You have really fast people and then really slow people. These people are just thrilled to be out there on the track racing the bike of their dreams when they were a teenager, kind of thing, But when I switched gears 2 years ago to racing modern stuff with Wera, the average age of my competitors on the grid right now is probably about 24. And most of them weigh between 80 and 100 pounds less than me. So I'm the old gray hair guy, double XL t-shirt wearing guy on the grid, and I'm lined up against these kids, and I can't hang with them in a straight line, but I have
once you start
I have tactical skills that they haven't discovered yet, and I still have very good technique. But also, because of my age, I'm not so fond. Like when I was in my 20s and even 30s, I like to find the limits and then maybe go just a little bit about, get a little slide here. I was never into the pro level of.
Now you're a whole lot more conservative, right?
But now I tend to do most of my riding at about 98%, which is still really fast. Yeah. But when my bike slides, if I come out of a corner and I lose the rear, the next lap, I'm going to be just about 2% less throttle.
Cutting it back a little bit. Yeah. So that's what I was saying. That's what I was saying. Now you've learned the power of being a little conservative.
Yeah. So, but I am by no means done with the sport. I'm still racing. I'm
so
very competitive. My endurance, and I've always loved this sidebar, but I've always loved endurance racing. I did my first endurance race in 1996, and it was just that usual, like 4 guys get together. Hey, we'll ride Rob 600, and we'll split the tires and the gas and the entry V's 4 ways. And this is how most people get into endurance racing. It's a fun thing. Yeah. Highly recommend it to anybody. Endurance racing will teach you things that you'll never learn in a sprint race. But that grew to me getting in the early 2000s. I had a fully sponsored ride on a front running endurance team. Now that was a whole different world. All of a sudden, I had one job. It was show up with your gear and ride the bike until the fuel light comes on. And that was it. They had a mechanic. Cool. They paid for the bills. They paid for the hotel. They took me out to dinner. And I just showed up, rode the bike. But, we had an 8-gallon gas tank. And that was, by the way, a GSXR 750, what you were just talking about, right, with your friends. Yeah. So we did 90-minute stints And if it was a 6-hour race, I had to do 2 90-minute stints.
My
It's hard.
V4's got a 4-gallon tank.
Yeah, that'll get you about 30 minutes on that bike.
That would not be the bike to go out and do endurance racing on.
Endurance racing.
Yeah.
So
are you able to put like saddlebag? Like,
but I have a lot of experience with the endurance racing. But then when I shifted gears in the teens into more vintage racing and doing more armor racing, I kind of endurance went from being something I did all the time to more like every couple of years I would do an endurance race with some friends just to keep my feet in it, you know.
Yeah.
But 2 years ago when I started switching to the Wera thing, I embraced the vintage thing, but now I'm the team owner. We do the ultra lightweight class on my Ninja 400. I learned really quick, you know, I'm a good rider, but why not get better riders to ride the bike for you? You know, so I've got a couple teammates that are both much faster than me, and we just this year we finished 3rd in the championship with Wera. And we just came back 2 weeks ago. We were down in Florida. It's not affiliated with any of the race orgs. It's actually run by the track, Jennings GP. They do the Tommy Separano. He does a endurance classic, he calls it. It's a killer event. This is the 3rd year they've done it. It's a 2-day event. You have a 3-hour race Saturday going the normal direction, morning. Then we break for lunch, and then we do a 3-hour race reverse direction in the afternoon. And then Sunday you come back and you go back the regular direction, do a 5-hour race. So it's 11 hours of endurance racing. And the only trophy is for the overall. There's no trophy for how you did in the first race. You just combine your finish in all 3 races.
Oh, really?
And we won it. That
is so cool.
We went 2-1. We got 2nd in the first one. We won the second one. We finished 2nd in the 3rd one. And the team that was battling with us went 1-5-1. So our 2-1-2 ended up getting the overall. And I tell you, it's been a long time since I was on the top stuff. The last time I won an endurance race was back in the early 2000s. So it's been 22, 23 years. That was a pretty exciting weekend. Right. It's a great way to start off the 2026 season. But
that's incredible.
But my teammates won that race for me. I went out there and I did my thing and I hit my marks and I hit my times and I didn't do anything stupid. But, you know, Matt.
I mean, endurance racing is very much a team effort.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But Matt.
All motorcycle racing is, but with endurance, everybody's gotta do their job. When they're not on the bike, they're getting things ready for the bike.
Yeah.
Making sure that the rider, when they come up to swap out, they get water. The next guy's hydrated. Somebody's fueling. Somebody's checking the brakes, looking over the bike.
And it's also very important to be keeping an eye on the tactical situation. Because
situational awareness.
Out on the track, the rider is focused on riding the bike. They can't see timing and scoring. You don't know if somebody's catching you or losing you. In this situation, we have a very strong team of all of us are very tactical minded riders, and you know, it's my bike and I'm in charge, but I tell them when I'm out on the track, you're in charge. You know, if you see I need to go faster, I need to go slower, or you need to get me in to get somebody faster get one of the fast guys on the bike, you know, I'm supposed to ride for an hour, but if you want to pull me in after 30 minutes to get somebody faster on the bike, I don't care. I want to win. You know, I don't care about me getting my equal share of time. And actually it came down to that. I did not take my second session on Sunday because we had planned to just be fair with everybody getting equal time. And as the race transpired, I was like, Matt, you stay out to the fuel light. Matt's our fast guy. Was our fastest guy. And so I was like, Matt, you stay out till the fuel light comes on. Jonathan, you just finished the race. He's like, well, do you want me to do 20 minutes? And there's 40 minutes left. He's like, do you want me to do 20 and pit for you to do the last 20? I was like, no, because they're catching us. You know, we had somebody that was faster than us, but it crashed earlier in the day and lost a couple of laps fixing their bike, and they were catching us at a rapid rate. So it's really important to have the situation where you got people on the team that you trust their judgment to make the right decisions and all that stuff. So, but yeah, I'm still competitive. I'm still racing. I have no illusions that I'm going to be the fastest guy in modern, especially on the 400. I'm a big guy for racing a 400, but I'm usually either on the podium or I'm usually somewhere in the 3rd to 5th range when I race against the kids. And I always surprise them.
That's still really impressive.
Yeah, I give them a run. They never get it easy from me. That most of the races I have with Wira involve me going by them on the brakes or on the outside of some turn, and then I watch them get me on the straight again. I'm like, but I'm that guy that won't leave them alone. They pass me on the straight, and they're like, "Oh, good, I got around that big guy," and then
big guy.
I give them hell.
Big guy passed me again.
Yeah.
So I've got some questions.
Yeah, hit me. Questions. I like questions.
All right. So when you're doing your coaching, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is your mission? What is your passion? And then what angle do you best come at to teach somebody?
So coaching, like private coaching one-on-one or running the school, because they are different.
So let's say, okay, all right. So if I were, we'll answer both ways. All right. So if I was to walk into your school today, what would somebody expect?
So
for a group session,
the theme behind the school, every great instructor has some little buzzword that they use that describes their teaching style. And my teaching style is go after the low-hanging fruit first.
Okay.
And there's basic techniques involved in road racing, and then there's intermediate techniques, and then there's advanced techniques, and then there's, oh my God, pro level crazy alien stuff up at the top there.
Alien stuff.
Too many racers, and this is kind of a generality, but it's a very true generalization. Most beginning racers now focus on intermediate and advanced techniques before they have the basics figured out. And I love using analogies, and you don't build a house on quicksand. You need a foundation. You need a solid foundation. So when I teach my school, I don't care if it's your first track day ever, you've never been on a track before. I have no minimum skill level required for my school. Yeah. The only requirement is this is not a how to ride a motorcycle school. I don't teach you how to use the clutch, the brake, and the gas. It's assumed you've got that all figured out and that you're going to be like this on the straightaways.
Yeah.
If you can't hold the throttle open on the straights, I can't help you.
Okay.
If you come to me and say, "Oh, I love going fast on the straights, but I'm scared when I'm in the turns, or I'm afraid to lean, or I'm horrible on the brakes," I can fix that. That's easy. But if you're getting on the straight and you get up to around 100 and you say, "Oh, I better roll off here," and then you cruise down the straightaway at 100 miles per hour when everyone else is going 150, this might not be the sport for you.
So I don't know how to fix that. I was going to ask you if you'd be interested in taking a look at some footage that I have from track, and kind of treat me like when you're students. Obviously, it'd be a track that you're not familiar with. It's something we can.
I know. I haven't raced there, but I know the Ridge.
This one's not the Ridge. This one would be Pacific Raceways, but I've got a trap.
We can do that. I'm still not done explaining this.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead. I was throwing that out there.
Yep.
I'm just in case. And right now I'm setting up so that we can be able to take a look at that, and everybody watching can watch along. And then you can go tell me. Go ahead and pause there. Back up 10 seconds. This is what This is an area that I see. But go ahead. Continue.
But for this reason, the format for my school is crawl, walk, jog, run. It doesn't matter if you're first time at the track or you've been to 100 track days. Everybody, our first session, we go so slow because I'm trying to teach you the race line. I want you to learn where to be on the track. The single most important skill to going fast on a track is being on the right line. Everything else is secondary. I mean, there's a lot of things that are very close to almost as important as it, but the number one thing is line selection. You need to be pointed the right direction and going to the right places. If you're not using up all the track, you're not going fast. You cannot go fast around a track if every time you exit a corner, there's still half the track available on the outside of you, or if you're missing the apex by feet or yards. So the very first thing, dude, we go out there so slow, painfully slow. I can see the frustration in some of the students' faces, through their 10 advisors. I see they're like, we get to the straightaway and they're like, okay, at least we can go here. And I'm like, nope, we're going 60 miles per hour down the straightaway. I'm just like, tranquilo, amigo. We're just here to learn the line. And then the second session, we go a little faster. We start doing more of a progressive every lap, a little bit quicker. And then usually it's usually 3 sessions into the day before we start doing wave bys, where we let students pass and we start following them and providing feedback and critique. But those first 2 sessions are no passing, strict follow the leader, just trying to get you to learn the line. And then as the day goes on, we talk about a technique in the class, and then we go out in the track and we work on it. And it's amazing. People often are, they're often question, like, how can you let people that have never been on the track take the same school with people that have been doing the track days forever? They're not even working on the same things. I'm like, no, they are. And you'd be surprised. This doesn't always happen, but often the people with no experience at all end up, by the end of the day, doing better than the people that have had a lot of experience in track days. Because if you've never taken a school before, it's almost inevitable that you're going to have picked up some bad habits, and you're going to have things that you do that you may not even be aware you're doing or why you're doing them, but they're detrimental for safe speed production. And the noobs, I don't mean that derogatory, but the people with 0 experience, they come in with open minds, open expectations. I tell them do this, they say okay. The people that have been doing it for a while, I say do this, and they say, well, that's not how I do it. See, when I do this, I do it this way instead. And I always just kind of smile when they tell me this. I'm like, that's nice, but if you want to go fast, you're going to have to do it this way, because that way it's going to put you in an ambulance, So, but as far as like my own personal coaching style, I like to when I do private coaching for people, the coaching starts weeks before we even get to the track. I send them a questionnaire, ask them about what are their strengths, what do they think their weaknesses are, what are their goals, and I like to customize the curriculum for the day for private coaching based on what they're looking to get out of it. And then I just tell them, I'm your own personal Yoda for the day. So anything you want to ask or work on, we can work on. But my goal is to work on the things that they think are their weak things, the things that they need the most help with. Because everybody's different. Some people hate, late braking, lean angle, BP, whatever. But, so.
Nice. All right.
Does that answer the question pretty good?
It
was a multi-part question, so I don't remember all the parts of it, but I think I.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, I'm pretty sure you covered it. When you come in, you identify, like you said, the low-hanging fruit, right? And then you go through your progression where you start off real slow. That way everybody knows the lines, everybody knows what's expected of them. And then you slowly progress, and then you go by, and then you kind of check what they're doing, follow them around, and then
that's where feedback comes in, because the first 2 sessions we're not really giving feedback, we're showing. All my coaches are doing the exact same line, but once we do the wave bys, that's where all of a sudden we're putting on our thinking hats and our observation points, and we're really watching what you're doing. And when we see a mistake, we immediately pass. And the infamous tap the tail, follow. No, this is the line. This is the line you need to follow. That kind of thing. And I like to use the analogy of the low hanging fruit thing is like, if you challenge me to a apple picking contest and we both go to an apple orchard, who's going to pick more apples? If you grab a ladder and start picking the apples from the top of the tree, and I just run up to the trees and start picking the ones that are within reach, who's going to get more apples?
Right, exactly. No, that makes a lot of sense.
It ties in with that whole low hanging fruit thing. It's a nice little visual, mental demonstration of it. But one of the biggest pitfalls I see people make, and that's not part of the question, but I got to share it just because it's
go ahead.
And this is a
student
medium
here. I'm soaking up everything that
this is a medium apple. It's not a top of the tree apple, but there's a medium apple that every single track day person, it's the first, it's like it's the shiniest apple and it's in the middle of the tree. It's just high enough that you can't reach it from the ground. You got to get a ladder, and that's body position. And my words get twisted often on this, on my stance. I'm not saying that body position is not important, but what I am saying is there's about 6 or 7 other things that you really need to have, not just okay, you need to have them nailed before you even think about body position.
Right.
Once you're using all the track and your brake points are good and your throttle control is good and your shifts are good, and then once you're doing these kind of things where you're having a consistent line, hitting every apex, running it out to the exit rumbles every single lap, every single turn, consistent, and not a lot of, we also hate to see this when you're changing your lean angle constantly in a turn, that you don't know what you're doing. When I see this, I see somebody that doesn't know what they're doing. What I like to see is
nice.
going around the turn, and there you go, apex, and they're rolling on the gas, and then they're going down the straightaway. That's a sign of somebody that knows what they're doing. Once you get to that point, now ask yourself, is anything dragging? Am I dragging the tips of my boots? Are the pegs dragging? Is the pipe dragging? Is the bodywork dragging? If nothing's dragging, you still don't need to work on your body position. You're still not, until you're going fast enough that something is hitting the ground, there's no reason to do it. And I get this argument all the time. Yeah, but why not just learn good habits now? Because later I'm going to be going fast enough and I need that muscle memory. But here's the thing people don't think about. There's two answers to this. One is this hyper exaggerated outside arm straight out.
Marquez. Yeah.
Yep. Mark Marquez style, and the tweezer grip on the handlebar because I want to get my elbow as close as I can to the ground. I'm going to back this up. You've used a wrench before, right? You got a tough bolt that's really hard to break. Do you put your arms as far away from your body as you can and try to break that bolt? No, you bring your arms in close to your body. Our bodies are designed that this is where we have strength. So when you're like this,
the power zone,
this is where you've got push-pull, massive control over the bike. When you start doing this stuff, you don't have as much control. It is less safe. People say, oh no, that BP, it builds up a safety margin for me in case I run out. No, it doesn't. It's making you less able to react to, if you lose traction in the back and you get a little mini high side where it just kind of skips out and then it grabs, you can knock that hand right off the handlebars, and all of a sudden you're riding one-handed. So it's really not safer to work on BP first. And I make a big point of showing when I'm teaching, I'll go out there with I will go out. All right. Just like this.
Yeah.
Just as a,
what not to do.
What's that?
I said, show them what not to do.
But I'm just showing that I'm faster than you and I'm not hanging off at all. I am riding. I will just glue myself to the bike and just ride all stiff and no BP at all. And to me, truly, BP is a form. It's a byproduct of how fast you go. When I'm coaching, I don't worry about BP at all. When I'm practicing, but maybe the faster I go, the better my BP gets. My wife is a pro at this. She knows what's going in my mind on in my mind in a race just by looking at my body position. When it's like white flag lap and there's somebody right in front of me, heck yeah, I'm trying to look like Marquez too. But
well,
you can't,
a lot of people don't understand about that. I see it in different forums online. Everybody's like, "How's my BP? How's my BP? How's my tires?" Or what?
Look at my progress. Here's a picture here. Here's a picture here, and here's a picture there. Look how much I improved. My first question is, what are your lap times?
Yeah. But the thing that you got to keep in mind is Marc Marquez, he's a lot faster. The faster you go, the further you got to hang off. Also, his bike
has to do that to go that fast. Unless you're going as fast as Marc Marquez, you don't need that body position. So that's my free gift right there. Is my free gift for the day is don't ignore BP, but certainly don't focus on it when you're first starting out. Line. And one little byproduct, a little added bonus. Most people will find that as you're doing these laps where you're focusing on line and throttle control and braking, you're concentrating on what I consider the core nucleus of what it takes to go fast. Your BP is just going to naturally evolve. You're not even going to think about it. You're just going to start, doing better BP without trying. When I see people putting all their attention into their BP, I see them missing apexes and running off the track on the exits and missing brake markers and going in too hot. But when I see people focusing on all those basics, they may be riding like this at first, but then they start hanging off, and it just happens organically. And then once you get to that point where, I was that my boot, or that was the foot peg. Now it's time to say, okay, I've already got all these other things under control now. So now it's no big deal. Let's get a butt off this. Let's get the body weight over, start working on that stuff.
Yeah.
So
I kept my very first time out on track, I ended up dragging my toes, and I was like, oh, I got to move those. All right. How do I put my foot on this peg so that I don't drag my toe? And then I was wearing regular like adventure pants because it was a Taste of Racing event. So I didn't have like a suit on. And I was like, I really don't want to try and like drag anything else. I'll drag a boot just a little bit, just a little bit. I don't want to, wear off the side. But all right, now what do I do so that I avoid getting my boot into the ground? Because in my mind, I'm thinking, all right, I'm moving at 60 miles an hour. Me catching a boot on the ground, it's probably not going to be very good for my ankles. So all right, what do I got to do? And that's when I was like, okay, let me see if I can move my butt over a little bit. Oh, that does not feel natural, but I know physics-wise, this is what I need to do.
Yep. And, the boot that, just like BP is also there's not just BP, there's like beginner BP, intermediate BP, advanced BP. And like one thing you should focus on with BP is like balls of your feet on the pegs instead of, you don't want to ride with your feet pointing out like that. Your toes drag the ground.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying don't focus at all on it. I'm just saying don't shoot for the goal of looking like Marc Marquez, and a personal thing that I struggle with is 2 years ago, I broke my fibula on my right ankle, and I have a tendency in right-handers to drag my boot now because it's hard for me to get my foot turned
the flexibility
enough. I'm 57 years old. Things don't work the way they used to. Someone will look at a picture and say,
you're adapting and overcoming.
he's riding with his toes sticking out. I'm like, look, and I got an excuse. I'm trying. I'm really trying hard. Like, I have to force myself to remember, oh, it's a right-hander coming up. Lift your freaking foot up and put the ball of your foot on the peg, Mark.
Yeah.
I still struggle with that today. I mean, I struggled with it 2 weeks ago at Jennings. I was like, man, I kept on dragging my boot. I'm like, stop it. You know better. Yeah. It's hard.
Okay. So let's go ahead and see if I can pull this up. All right. I'm going to go. I've got the video pulled up here.
Okay.
So whoops. I've got it on my other laptop because I forgot to enable a setting on Chrome. So let's see if it lets us.
And is this you, or am I going to be eviscerating?
No, this is me. This is me. Oh, whoops. All right. This will be me. Okay. Let's figure out. Okay, hold on 1 second. Let's grab this guy over here.
Hey, while you're messing with that, I see John's asking about advanced schools.
Okay. John, all right.
This year, I don't have any advanced on the schedule, but the last 2 of the year are undesignated. So we'll play it by ear. I kind of, after the response I got with the advanced school last year, I kind of decided that I was leaning towards only doing advanced school when it's a 2-day format. And all my schools this year are 1 day. Because I did the last school of the year I did was an advanced school, which you could only enter it if you had already had a race license or you had already taken my school before. And we had 5 people show up. It was a fun event. It was very intimate, but five doesn't, pay the bills. So I think as far as advanced goes this year, I'm not saying no, but I'm going to need people. I'm going to need, John, tell all your friends. If I get 3 or 4 people saying, please do an advanced school in September or November, the last 2 schools of the year, I'll do it. If there's interest, I'll do it. But otherwise, the level 1 schools always bring in more people. So, it's a business.
Yeah.
I have to, I got to keep the IRS and the mortgage and all that stuff happy. But I love doing the advanced schools, though. It's so much more fun because I love doing any school, but the advanced schools are like, oh, we're not working on the basics, man. We're working on like dirty tricks that Mark's learned over the last 32 years and passing techniques. And, we do a lot more bar to bar, real racing simulation stuff. It's a lot more fun. So I want to do one, but you need to get at least 4 other friends to shoot me emails saying, make September or make November an advanced school. If I get enough interest in it, I'll do it. But if not, they're going to be level 1s. All right. So this is not the Ridge. This is another track.
This is Pacific Raceways in Kent, Washington.
Okay.
So NHRA comes here, but we don't do anything besides club racing here as far as motorcycles.
So I don't know the layout, but just let me watch. Let me just. Do we have like a lap?
I can pull
here? Oh, it's
so.
Yeah, let me give me a lap. Are we coming?
Yep, right here. This is just before the bus stop, and then we got the front straightaway.
And you're the
start finish line. What?
You are the camera bike?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yep, I've got multiple different angles on my bike, so we can see what I'm doing physically on the bike, as well as what we're looking at, as well as
I don't care about the BP aspect at all. This is the view that the best view for me to analyze videos is behind the bubble, front of the bike. If you have a fairing, so in hearing the engine.
This isn't. Oh, let me see if I can get the audio.
Yeah, if you can get audio, because it's a lot harder to.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure if I can do audio through
Yeah, because I do video. I do a lot of video coaching, and it's a skill set that I'm very proud of because I'm very analytical. But I need to work my magic. I have to because I can hear what your throttle is doing if I can hear the engine. I don't need to look at your right hand.
Let me see if I can if we can get audio. I've never done this before, so
yeah, that's all right. I saw this. I know this corner from a video somebody shared a couple months ago. They did some stupid. They did some really. They crashed and they ran out on the track to pick up their bike. I'm like, no.
Oh, that's yeah.
It wasn't you.
Yeah. No,
that
it was
you?
not me. That was not me. No.
Oh, it's like, because I just trashed you.
No, that was
the person
not
later
me.
said that the corner worker told him to go do it. I'm like, that sounds super sketch to me. Oh, look at that Armco. That's fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to see
a lot of it.
if
nice car track.
Yeah. Oh, that's what this is primarily for.
And I've gone to some. I've ridden on some dangerous tracks before. I'm not afraid of it, but I don't like to. I won't race on tracks like this. Those big.
This is probably not the most favorite track.
Ooh. Closing speeds. But you're on a big fast bike, and
this is a mixed bag of skill levels. With this being,
like a street group, right?
Yeah, and so I was aiming for a wide area to be able to get around, and then I was barely on the throttle of this bike.
Yeah.
So this is obviously more than one lap here.
That's all right.
So that corner there, I'm not a big fan of.
Whoa, what happened there?
Oh, I hit a false neutral.
Okay. That's
exciting. I rolled off the throttle a little bit, and it found neutral there. I remember that because that was Mallory Dobbs was actually in that corner with me when that happened.
Was the loss of traction from it jumping out of neutral, or was it from you putting it back in gear?
So when I rolled off the throttle, you can see my hand, right?
I just saw the whole, but you lost traction for a second there.
Yeah, I did. So when I rolled off the throttle, it went into neutral. When I like blipped the throttle a little bit, and all of a sudden it kicked back in, and the engine brake, it just it was you can actually see my foot. You can actually see my foot kick out.
If you catch a false neutral going into a corner, cardinal rule, always grab the clutch. Grab the clutch, steer the bike, and once you're safe, then rev your matches and upshift. Always upshift, never downshift. Because when you catch a false neutral, you don't know. Like if you're in fourth gear coming into a third gear corner, and you go to downshift, and all of a sudden it's in the false neutral. You don't know if you're in the neutral in between third and fourth, or it might have gone through third, and now you're in the neutral in between third and second. If you downshift then and put it into first gear while you're still going 70, 80 miles per hour, it's donezo. But always pull on the clutch, steer the bike. Once the corner's made, then try to bring up some revs and upshift. Because that was you got very lucky there. That was a
yeah.
Are you rewound to right on the spot?
Yep.
We get to see it again. Yeah, I want to see that again. You came very That was really close, man. Yeah.
You can actually see my foot kick out here when it happens.
Oh yeah. That's I've had a lot of close calls too. I'm always love it when the guardian angel is working hard.
And then I've got a pretty short memory for those things. I was like, all right, I know what happened there. Let's move on. And I'm back into it. This was a guy that I was trading back this purple shirt rider. He's actually a really good racer on that 600 there, and him and I were playing
on the right, the one
directly in front of me
right now. Okay, yeah, he's got a very good line. He looks like a racer, just the way he's riding. So, but and not to give you any crap, your line's quite smooth. You're for what you told me, the experience you have, I'm actually quite impressed. So,
this was my 4th time on track at all.
Okay,
and
so it's not like your first time or anything.
Yeah. But so I've got just a little over an hour. This was a mistake that I made here, and I felt it, and I was like, that was probably not very cool of me.
What was the mistake? I'm not sure what you did there. I don't know the track well, so.
Okay, so we were coming down the front straight here. Yeah, we were coming down the front straight here. I knew that I had him beat in power. He launched out of the bus stop back there and just shot out. Right here, I move over to the right-hand side. He's on the left-hand side. He's going to drive down. I realized right at that kink there, I'm like, this is the line that I feel like my bike wants to take.
I see. Okay.
Because it felt like the straightest. And then I could go down into the braking zone, which I later learned on this track that I really didn't need to get on the brakes to come into this turn. That I can come into this turn, let off the throttle a little bit, do a little maintenance throttle, and turn the bike. And then that right there will turning the bike will naturally slow it down. Obviously, going into this full throttle on a 210 wheel horsepower bike probably wouldn't be the smartest idea. So
yeah, and forgive me, I don't know the track well enough.
Yeah,
and I can't hear your engine either. So
I thought that we had that enabled. Let me see here what I can do.
Yeah, can you hear it on your end?
Yeah, I can hear it on my end. I wonder if I turn on. I'm afraid to turn on the.
See, that says mute right there.
Yeah.
The MacBook Pro microphone's muted.
Yeah, I don't want the extra what do you call it? The extra background noise.
Gotcha.
So what I'll do
truly,
I will.
I'm happy to try to help, but this is not really a great format for me to provide video coaching on. But this is something that I do. I am very good with video coaching, and if you sent me a video, you sent me a link to YouTube, and I studied that. I learned the track in a couple of laps, and being able to hear the engine and everything.
Let's see if we can hear it now.
I see that.
Here, let me do this. I'll mute.
That looks like a lot of fun. Whew. Traffic. I think I played this track on a video game at some point. Those lines going across the track, those painted lines are very distinctive. I remember that from I think it was does IndyCar race here sometimes? Kart.
So just to the left there is the drag strip.
Okay.
So those lines there are the staging lanes for the drag strip.
Staging lanes. I think I've raced this in like a video. You know, I used to do a lot of Xbox and PlayStation and stuff. Yeah, so there's the real
that
line.
was Yep.
I got it now. Yeah, you need to break that. That's a crap line.
After that situation right there, I never did that again. I was like, nope.
And so some good unsolicited advice. It's not unsolicited. You're asking for advice. When you have a situation where you have a friend that's out there riding that has more experience than you and they have a slower bike, stay behind them on the straightaways and follow in their wheel tracks. The best thing for you as a learning experience, the best thing for you to do in that situation would have been to just follow your friend in the purple leathers and not fall. You know, you got seduced by horse. I've got motor on him. I'm going to pass him. And then you hit that little junction point and he's doing the right line and he's expecting you to be on the right line too. And all of a sudden you show up with horsepower and you're right where he needs to go. And of course he saw you. So it's not like you put anybody in danger or anything, but you're not learning the line now. It took you another lap of doing the same mistake again. And the lesson learned there is just follow your friend that knows what he's doing. You know, I don't care if, you know, I do a lot of coaching on a 400. Even I coached somebody on a Panigale V2 before on my 400, you know, 50 horsepower versus 150 horsepower. And I just told him, look, I know every time we get to the straight, you can destroy me, but you're not going to learn anything if you're in front of me. So it's going to be up to you.
I don't have much of an ego when it comes to showing my mistakes from the track. I'm all about learning, and I went and it took me 2 weeks because I didn't know who he was, but it took me 2 weeks of going on the internet, asking different people who were there, hey, who is this guy?
Okay. I misunderstood. I thought it was like a friend of yours.
After that event, like I got in contact with him. I apologized for that. And he was like, what happened?
Yeah. He's like, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, dude, I realized in the moment that I made a very, very bad decision. And I want to apologize to you for that because it could have been an extremely ugly collision. Because I was in between. If I would have stayed on throttle, I would have been clear of them.
Right.
But because I was indecisive in that moment.
Well, and you were on a bad line, so you had to roll off there. And that's a spot where you could have stayed full throttle if you were on the right line. But you'll find most racers have pretty thick skin about that stuff to a limit. Everybody gets pissed off. You know, if there's contact, people get pretty pissed.
Oh yeah.
But you're not the first person that showed him a wheel and put your bike there. He's experienced that before. I can promise you.
Yeah. I can't remember if he said if he saw me or not, but he was just like, what? There was a situation. And I was like, go back and watch this video here. And he was just like, oh, I didn't know that was. And I was like, all right, well, he's like, good on you for call. You know,
I'm a lot the same way. I pride myself on making very clean passes, you know, and I've always prided myself on it, but it became even more when I started being the teacher because, you know, you can't come up on lapping one of your students. You can't stuff your student, you know, and after the first weekend, they don't have their t-shirt on anymore. You see, you don't necessarily know it's when but you shouldn't stuff anybody. But over the years, I've become more and more conscious about just trying to always make every class pass as clean as I can. And when I don't, there's times where I go for something and they ended up much better on the brakes than I thought they would be. And I'll still get by, but maybe I die inside if somebody has to pick their bike up to miss me. It just makes me
to adjust horrible. For you. Yeah.
Even if there's no contact, it's just like, oh, I always tell people never stand people up, you know, except for the white flag lap. but all gloves are off on the white flag lap. But and I'll often go find people in the pits like, hey, really sorry about that move. And they're like, what move? Like, oh, well, you know, I kind of stood you up and just like, it was, you know, whatever, we're racing, you know. Typically I find that people younger than me seem to be less affected by it than me.
Yeah.
But
no,
stand me up and I might talk to you. I might give you a business card and tell you to come check my next school. You know?
Yeah. But yeah, no, I wasn't sure how well that was gonna work. Showing you that video that way.
Yeah.
But it looks like we were able to see some things, and like I said, that was a situation that I wasn't super proud of, but it was a learning. Like, I
Yeah.
learned from it immediately. I was like, that was probably not the smartest move right there.
But you look confident out there. I think your next step is you're about to take a race school and go try racing, right?
Yep.
What's on your
Yep.
horizon coming up? I think you're in the
Yeah,
perfect
March
spot for that.
7th, March 7th with Wimra out here is a new racer school over at Cascade Tire and Race in Kent.
Have you been there before?
I have not. It's near Pacific Raceways. I just had to look it up. So I'm gonna find it on the map and look at that, find it. It's the classroom section for that, and then we'll be going to the Ridge Motorsports Park, which you're familiar with.
Oh, yeah.
That's where the on-track portion will be held.
Oh, it'll be at the Ridge. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. That's I'll get out there one of these days, Yeah. I know this guy out there that has some Ducatis,
just a couple. Just a couple.
Airfare is not that bad. It's the bringing the bikes out,
Yeah.
Quid pro quo, free.
Hey, I've got a few. I got one that you could ride. I got one that you could ride.
Barters. Barters are awesome. I like barters. I like the West Coast too. I like to go out and visit. Nice. I used to be in the wine business, so I used to get out to California a lot.
So what is Mark's interest outside the racetrack? We've talked about wine, bicycle stuff.
I'm one of these annoying, I used to describe myself as a jack of all trades and master of none, but the ultimate truth, it's I'm actually a jack of all trades and I'm a master at a bunch of them. I'm one of these, I have a lot of, my biggest problem is not having enough time to focus on all the things I want to do. I want to do everything. I want 48 hours in a day. Because
sounds like
I grew up, my mom was a piano teacher. I went to school for music education. I played 3 different instruments. I've played all my life. So I've been in band. I've been in orchestras. I've been in bands. I've been in jazz bands. I've been in rock bands. But racing has always kicked all those aside. My dad was a doctor, but he flew planes. I got into general aviation. I got my pilot's license and I wanted to be a pilot. But racing, it was like, oh, you can only afford one expensive hobby.
Which one's the least expensive of the expensive hobbies?
I can always fly with Dad. So I love cooking. I was in the restaurant industry, which transitioned into the wine industry. I never realized that I was a good cook. I was always front of the house. I wasn't a cook or a chef, but I worked at nice restaurants. I was always in like French, I even worked in a 4-star restaurant at one point. So I was always being bombarded by good culinary stuff. And it wasn't until I got out of the restaurant and I dated a woman before I met my wife who is a rabid home cook. She was an amazing cook. And we started like throwing wine and dinner parties, and I'd like provide the wine, she'd do the cooking. And I learned so much from her, and I realized I can cook. And so I love cooking, and I love my cats. I got the music thing, I got the teaching thing. I love my bicycles, and I ride. I ride road bike, mountain bike. I have my latest passion is actually 3-wheeled recumbents. Really just love going out there on my trike and just, putting in some miles. I commute to work on a bike. Not right now. It's 20 degrees today.
I've ridden on this in the snow on a bicycle. It's not typically the best course.
Yeah. I love, and I don't put on, when I ride, that's my me time. I don't wear headphones. I don't listen to music. I just listen to my breathing, and I think about things. It's how I solve my world problems. It's my tranquility, and and it keeps me healthy. I have it's so I've got a lot of joie de vivre. I've got a lustful life. I like to do things. And
I was gonna say you sound like you got a lot of different interests, and that is incredible.
But it's hard to do all of them.
Yes.
The music side, like I feel a lot of pain and regret that I have not. I feel like with music, I was born with a great gift. I've got perfect pitch. I've got, I'm always in tune and everything, but I didn't practice hard. I'm that asshole.
You're the natural talent.
Pick it up and play it with natural talent, but I didn't.
I got a friend who's like that.
Oh, it drove my mom crazy. Because she's my mentor. She's the one that taught me, and when I went to Potsdam Crane School of Music, I got in solely on my audition. I remember the words of who became my professor. He said, that audition was beautiful. I usually don't. He said, I rarely hear high school people play this. I usually don't let my students play it until they're juniors. I put the Paul Hunter the trumpet concerto. He said, so that's really impressive. I really like that. He said, your transcript, however, is a little bit below the level we're looking for here. He's like, I'm going to take a gamble with you. And ultimately, the gamble was failed because, I ended up withdrawing after 3 semesters. But
oh, wow.
So I have, I have a lot of, I get regret that I didn't focus on that because, but then again, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now, which I really think is what I was truly called to do. Not that I think I would have been a great band teacher, but I think it's a lot cooler to be a great road race instructor.
Sounds a whole lot better. I mean, to the cool crowd.
And I bring my horn with me to the track, and I play the national anthem, which I've done it in front of I've done that in front of 4,000 people before. It's pretty cool. I played the national anthem at Laguna Seca actually when Armour was there a few years ago. Pretty awesome. There was a color guard there and everything. So I still keep in touch, but all the band things are done because racing always, it didn't matter whether it was the jazz band or the 50-piece brass band I used to play with the local church. The racing always got in the way, and it always came down to, well, we've got a rehearsal, we got a performance, and I'm chasing points in the championships, and I need to drive 9 hours to get to Barber so I can, get the points to win this championship, and the racing is always won. Is always won.
Well, music is a love of mine. I started learning how to play the guitar, and music was always a passion of mine, but I never thought that I could learn how to play the guitar. And then I had a girlfriend at the time that she was that person who was just naturally gifted, could pick up any instrument, whether it was pianos that she'd never played before, kind of figure it out. Oh, okay.
Yeah, just rock my
and then she'll listen to the song, and she'll be able to just jump right into the song, whether it's on guitar. We had this, what is it called? Basically, it's got 5 or 6 different strings on this wooden plate, and it kind of goes like this.
Dulcimer.
Yes, that's what it is. Yep. Yeah, somebody had one of those just kind of sitting over, and she picks it up, and she's just like, boop, 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 boop. Ding, ding, and ding, we're sitting there. I'm sitting there. I'm doing these simple chords, playing a song that everybody else is playing, and I'm looking at guitar chords or whatever, and I'm just kind of figuring it out there, playing, and then somebody else is on a bass, and then another person's got an electric guitar, and I'm on an acoustic, and then she picks up this dulcimer, and it's just like ding 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 ding. Oh, okay. Oh, you can, if you hold it, you can mute it, and then all of a sudden she starts playing on this thing, and I'm like, oh my god. Yeah. I'm like, how do people do that? And
I'm not that good. I gotta work at it.
Well,
but I can't pick up an instrument I've never played before and just figure it out. And
she's got some
strings have
crazy
always
skills.
like the guitar. Yeah, I play drums, trumpet, and piano, which to
Mm-hmm.
me are just like really great instruments. But like guitar, man, you give me a guitar, and I'm like, smoke on the wall. I can do, but that's about it. I can play the
Oh,
first
I
measures.
love.
Wish you were here, but
Yeah, no, I can.
I love all that. I love, I love life, and I always want to do things. And I also I really enjoy reading a lot and just having my cat. I've got 2 cats. I've always had cats all my life. So I love my
What's your
cats.
latest book that you just read?
I'm in the middle. I'm a nerd for really nerdy, geeky World War II stuff. I'm reading
Oh,
a book right
really?
now called Fire in the Sky, which is about the Solomon Island and New Guinea South Pacific campaign in World War II. Um, you know, and I do those, but I also like current authors. I'm so excited. Hail Mary is coming out. It's the same. What is this? The author's name is escaping me right now, but same author that did The Martian, which the movie was amazing. The book was even better. I think Hail Mary is his best book he's ever done, and the movie's about to release next month.
Okay.
So I read current stuff also, but it's either usually some kind of a sci-fi fantasy or nerd World War II, boring, dry, like technical, on
Yeah.
this day, 37 destroyers from the Fifth Fleet, But
Oh,
so
that's
it's mostly
cool.
fantasy, science fiction, and nerdy World War II stuff.
Yeah.
um,
So
but
I
I
had
read every day.
reached out to the chat and asked if anybody had any questions. I'm pretty sure that you had answered John about the advanced school on the schedule for the second half of the
Yes.
year. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. I want to make sure that we answered that question. Don't see any other ones in here.
Okay.
Um
Get off the hook easy.
right. So what type of cooking do you like to do? I'm about ready to go and throw some bark or some rub onto a brisket to throw into my smoker to cook overnight.
Wow. I have that's a chapter I haven't discovered yet, but it's coming. I've never owned a smoker, but
Oh, they
that
change
woman I
your
dated before I met
world.
my wife, she had one. I watched her do some stuff. That'll come along. My real, I like French. I like classic French, but my real passion is Southeast Asia. So
Okay.
Thai, Vietnam, Chile, India. I really enjoy working with these spices, things like lemongrass, galangal root, kaffir lime, bird's eye chilies, fish, that stinky, nasty fish sauce that smells so horrible, but
Oh,
it
yeah.
tastes so
It
good.
does. Yeah. My
It, you
one of
know,
my old girlfriends was Filipino, and yeah,
oh,
we ate a lot of that fish sauce. And
so
then oh, what is that? It was called it's little tiny fish. They fry it. They fry them up, and then they basically eat them just that way.
just,
She always called it like stinky fish, is what she called
yeah,
it.
and
But
it's like
that's a very
anchovies.
disrespectful. I think
There's
that's
fresh
what we would
anchovies.
call it. We would
Fresh
call it as
anchovies are
Americans.
nothing like what you find on pizza. Pizza is like
Yeah.
salted, preserved anchovies, but
Hmm.
fresh anchovies are amazing, absolutely amazing. But I don't really have a cuisine I don't like, and I spent a big part of my adult life a lot larger than I am right now too, because of my love of food. I went
Well,
on
we got to have one vice in our life, and if enjoying
yeah,
food is yours, oh my god, that's
absolutely. Last
it's
year
not a
is the
problem.
first year that I tried to do something about it. I've always exercised a lot. I've on a typical year, I put in 4 or 5 thousand miles on my bicycle. So but I
That's
was
pretty good.
eating like a horse, and I was addicted to sugar. I had a problem with sugar, so I'd be at the track, and people would see this guy who's like 260 pounds. I'm like big, and I'm huge, and I'm wearing custom leathers because off the rack doesn't even come close to working for me.
Right.
Um, But then I'm wearing people down, and I'm the guy that on the last lap, I'm putting my fastest lap of the whole weekend on the white flag because my heart rate hasn't changed the whole race because I put in the aerobic all the time. So I had an eating problem, but I was not out of shape. I was, round is a shape. And
that's what I was thinking. That is exactly what I was thinking.
Very fit, double extra large sized racer. And it's doubly ironic that I love small bore bikes that, force you to keep a lot of momentum in the corners because, you're a big guy. I should be riding the VR4, the Panigale V4, I should be riding the 200 horsepower bike to offset that weight thing. But I just love being the big guy and kicking people's asses in the corners. And they're like,
big guy on a little bike.
Go so fast. But last year,
would be hilarious. Oh, go ahead.
So last year, at the end of the season, I had a bad wreck, and it was actually the worst wreck I've had in 30 years of racing. I broke 7 bones in September at pit race, and another racer crashed right in front of me, and I hit they high-sided, and I hit their bike going about 75, and it just stopped me instantly. That's where the broken fibula happened and a couple other breaks as well. And the beauty, the blessing and the whole thing is that I didn't need a single surgery. All 7 of those breaks healed. I had broken fibula, clavicle, rib, 3 broken bones in my other foot, cracked pelvis. It was horrible, but everything healed naturally. But I was off my feet for 3 months. And right when I got back on my feet, it was time for Thanksgiving and Christmas. So on New Year's Day, I stepped on the scales at 280 pounds. It was the most I'd ever weighed in my whole life. And I was like, that's it. It's no longer enough in my life to say I'm the most in shape fat guy you've ever seen. So, and I've always been afraid to try to tackle the diet thing because I had such bad, I love foie gras. I love French food. I love rice and I love potatoes and I love sugar, all these things that, my doctor's been telling me for 20 years, stop, cut out the starches.
Don't do that. Yeah.
And I'm like, what do you know? You're just a doctor. You just spent your whole life devoted to trying to help people and you just don't understand. I'll just ride more. So I went 0 sugar for 2, and my wife, bless her, my wife did too. She joined me on this, and it is not fun. 0 sugar is like reading every label. If there's word of sugar, you just don't eat it. 0, like no ketchup, no milk. You'd be surprised what things have sugar in them. I did 0 sugar for 2 weeks, and then I went into 30 grams maximum per day. And from January 1st to the GNF, which was the end of October, I lost 52 pounds. And
dude, that is incredible.
And it felt pretty good. I'm going to tell you.
Well, I mean, every day you step on a scale, like that your hard work, everything that you're doing, the sacrifices that you're making are paying off. You step on that scale, and you're like, "Hey, I'm 5 pounds lighter."
And I was seeing it in the lap times too. I'm racing a bike that only makes 50 horsepower.
Yeah.
With a 50 horsepower bike, losing 52 pounds is like getting like 8 horsepower or something.
Yeah.
So
you're seeing a double. You're seeing it on the scale, seeing it on the on the racetrack, seeing it in how often you got to change your brakes on your bike.
Oh yeah. So this year the goal is 30. And if I lose 30 pounds this year, that'll get me to 199. That's the magic number I want to see. And I'm 6 foot tall. 199 will get me out of that obese category on the.
Yeah, I'm 6 foot too, and I'm 210.
Yeah. Oh shoot, my battery's running low. We're gonna have to wrap this up because I don't know where I can bring the cord, but anyhow, yeah. So that's my goal next year. This year is to lose 30 more and keep on getting skinnier and kicking butt, keep on racing, keep on teaching, and thanks for having me on.
I love it.
I
love it. All right, Mark. We will catch you on the next ride.
All right, man. Take it easy.
Yep.
I don't know how to hang up.
No, it's all good. It's all good. All right. So thank everybody who's tuned in to this episode with Mark Morrow and the Mark Morrow Road Racing School. It's been an awesome, just I can't even express how grateful I am that he reached out to me and said, hey, I don't know if you'd be interested, but I'm interested in coming and coming on your show. I've been on Chris Simcoe's Pin the Gas podcast a couple times, but I like what you're doing. I like what you're doing, Mark. I love your personality of what you do for this sport. And I look forward to the next time that we're able to sit down and talk, where we can dive into some more motorcycle coaching related topics. And said, check out the if you want to help support the channel and what we're doing with racing, with going to Barber Motorsports Park later on this year, go ahead and check out the DucatiDads.com. Check out the GoFundMe link. And until next time, catch you on the next ride.